welcome. We're going to be learning about the word 마찬가지, and first we're going to learn how to use it with just the verb 이다, meaning to be. So you can conjugate 이다 after 마찬가지 any way you'd like. So you could say 이에요 or 마찬가지야 or 마찬가지면, like if it is 마찬가지, anything like that. Now, originally, what is 마찬가지? It is a shortened version of this. 마치 means similar to, 한 가지, like one thing. So the same as or just alike or similar to one thing, literally. And 마찬가지 means the same. So the same or similar. 마찬가지이다, to be the same or similar. You can use 마찬가지 on its own to just say that something or someone is the same. For example, 그것도 마찬가지야. 그것, that thing, also is the same. That's also the same. 그것도 마찬가지야. You can also use it after a noun with either 과 or 와 to mean with, or in informal speech, you can use it with 이랑 after a consonant or 랑 after a vowel, which also has the same meaning, with. You can use it after a noun like this to mean also the same as or similar to. So let me show you an example of that. 그거랑, so literally with that, 마찬가지예요. It is the same with that. So that's how you would say it's the same as that. 그거랑 마찬가지예요. Or if you use the particle 으로, this one can be attached to 마찬가지 to use it as an adverb, as 마찬가지로. And this adverb means the same as, like in the same way as, or alike, or similarly. Let me give you an example of that. 오늘도, so today also, 어제랑, with yesterday, 마찬가지로, so similarly or the same as yesterday, 춥다, to be cold, 추울 거예요. So it will be cold similarly with yesterday, literally. So today will also be cold the same as yesterday, or literally, similarly with yesterday. So those were three ways that it can be commonly used just as a noun. Write this form down. If you know this one form, you can get to any of the other forms we're going to be using today. So again, 마찬가지 by itself just means the same as. But now we're going to be able to say it's the same as if, or it's practically something. So the way it works is you take a verb stem, any verb, and you attach na if it ends in a consonant, or just attach na if it ends in a vowel. There are exceptions. One of the common exceptions you'll see is if the verb stem ends with this letter, you just remove it first. So this form combines two things together. 마찬가지, which we learn means the same or similar. And this form, 으나. 으나 is a verb ending which is used in actually several different grammar forms. It's not exclusive to this form. This 으나 form by itself has the meaning of saying something like, well, it's no different if you do this verb. Or it's no different if this verb is a descriptive verb, if it is something. Or it's the same if you do this verb, or if this verb is something. Specifically, it's no different. The result does not change anything. For those of you who are already intermediate, I'll give you an extra note. 든지. So I did another lesson about 든지. If you would like to learn about that, check through my live streams. I have a whole lesson about 든지. 든지 means regardless, or whether or not. As in, it simply doesn't matter. This form is simply saying it doesn't change anything, it's no different. And this one specifically is saying it doesn't matter, but both of these forms are pretty similar, and you can actually change this form for this form and get away with it because they have generally the same usage. Also, if you're intermediate, you might have heard this form before. 으나 마나. I have a Learn Korean episode about this. Episode 113, where I teach about this form, but this uses also this same form with the verb 말다. Like whether you do it or whether you don't do it, it's the same is what this form means. So if you've seen this form before, if this looks kind of familiar, it might be from this form. When you're using a verb, you're going to attach 으나, as I said, but when you're using this form with verbs, however, you're going to actually change it into an adjective. So you don't need to use 으나 for the verb stem. You're actually going to use an adjective form, and then you're going to attach 거나. So 거나 and then 마찬가지. This 거나 might look like a special form. It's actually the exact same thing as what I just said, attaching 으나. What it is 것 for a thing, and then the verb 이다, and this is actually just using the una ending as well. So it's the same thing. You can either do verb to an adjective with 거나, which is 것이나, or you can do verb stem with una. It's the same because you're actually doing the same thing. In Korean, there is more than one way to make each tense. 하다, to do. How do you make this into present tense? Well, you probably know 해요, of course. But there's another way you can make this into present tense, which is equally common. 하는 거예요 is also present tense. So there's a second way to make everything into present tense as well as past tense. For past tense, you probably know 했어요, right? But there's another past tense, 한 거예요. There are differences between these, and I have lessons about that, but they're both past tense, and they're both the same amount of politeness. Different nuance, same meaning. 했어요, I did it. 한 거예요, I did it. So just like that, whether you're using one way of making the verb into present or past or future tense, you can do the same thing here by either using the verb directly with una or by using it with 거나 and the adjective. It's the same thing. Or what if the verb we're using is 이다, to be? Well, you attach una to the verb stem, and attaching that to 이 makes it 나. So you get 이나 after a consonant or 나 after a vowel. So that's how you can use this with a noun. So the meaning that you get by using this form with verbs is to say it's no different or it's the same as. By that, it's the same as if you do something for a verb, or it's the same as a noun. One more note, I said it's una after a consonant or just na after a vowel. Well, Koreans like to speak simply. So oftentimes you won't even see this added, even when it's supposed to be. For example, 먹으나, whether you eat it, it's no different. It doesn't change anything. Well, you'll also see this, 먹나. So you might sometimes see this without the and just na. It's the same thing, but it is originally supposed to be this form. 이건, so this thing, 이것은 조별 과제였는데, so this was a group assignment, but 혼자 한 것. So 한 거예요. I did it by myself. 한 거나. It's the same as, or it's no different than, I did it all by myself. 마찬가지요. So it's the same as if I had done it all by myself. So this was a group project, but it's the same as if I did it by myself. So that's literally what we get. This form is how you say practically. It's the same as, but more naturally, you're going to say this. This was a group project, but I practically did it by myself. Now you've got a natural sounding sentence. Now you can understand why someone might want to use this form. You're not going to need to say, it's the same as if I had done it by myself, but you would want to say something like, I practically did it all by myself. Or maybe I basically did it all by myself. Let's do the next sentence. 최선을 다하다 means to do your best, to give it your all, to try your hardest. If you don't try your best, well then, 포기하는 것, giving up. The noun version of 포기하다, to give up. 포기하는 거나 마찬가지예요. It's the same as if, or it's the same as giving up if you don't do your best. So if you don't do your best, it's the same as giving up, or more naturally, if you're not going to try your best, you're practically or you're basically just giving up. Okay, next sentence. 이걸 사나. So if you buy this, 이것을 사다, to buy. So it's no different if you buy this, and it's no different if you buy that. 마찬가지야. It's the same. So it's the same whether you buy this or that. 이걸 사나, 저걸 사나, 마찬가지야. So whether you buy this or that, it's practically the same. 이걸 사나, 저걸 사나, 마찬가지야. Or you could have had 이걸 사는 거나 저걸 사는 거나 마찬가지야. Same thing. Again, because keep in mind, 거나 is simply 것이나. So you can say the present tense as either 사요 from 사다. You can say 사요 or 사는 거예요. So you have two options. You also have two options whenever you're using this form. So again, remember how I told you the whole form is 으나 with 마찬가지 and 이다 when you're using it with the noun. 이다 is the verb you use. So you get the stem, you have 이, and you attach 나. So you get 이나. But the form is the exact same, whether you're using it with a verb, whether you're using it with a verb that's in the 는 것 form, or whether you're using it with a verb that's 이다 after a noun. It's always the same form. 으나, 마찬가지 이다. 철수는, so our friend 철수, well, he is 마찬가지예요. He's the same as if he is 우리 가족. So 우리 가족이나 마찬가지예요. He's the same as if he's our family member, or more naturally, 철수 is practically our family. 철수는 우리 가족이나 마찬가지예요. So he's practically our family. So literally though, he is the same as if he's our family. 선생님은, the teacher is 제 role model, my role model 이나 마찬가지예요. So the teacher is the same as if they are my role model, literally, or more naturally, the teacher is practically my role model, or they're basically my role model. 선생님은 제 롤 모델이나 마찬가지예요. So the teacher's practically my role model. Okay, I have a couple notes. If you are advanced, this is for you. You could also swap this form for this expression. 다름이 없다. 다름 meaning something different. 없다 meaning there isn't. So there isn't anything different. So this is the same as it's the same, which is the same as it's the same. It's no different. And this one's no different because it's the same. This one's much less common though. 다름이 없다. It sounds a little bit more fancy. You can also replace this form with another form. 셈이다. I did a live stream about this in February 23rd of 2020, but this form can also be exchanged for 마찬가지 because this form, 셈이다, means it's practically the same as something else. The nuance though is different. 셈이다 is more like the nuance of saying, well, you could say that because it's similar. You could also say, or you could think that. So the nuance is different, but grammatically you can replace 마찬가지다 with 셈이다. And I have a live stream all about that if you'd like to learn. Okay, that is the lesson for today. Thank you for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.